Hello, my name's Dhruvee and I'm going to reflect on my time during lockdown. I think when it first happened, it was initial shock for me, living on my own. I knew I wouldn't be able to see friends and family or socialise as much or at all as I did before. And I have to say, it's probably the first time I've actually felt lonely. I'm quite used to living on my own, but that period of time, it really sunk in that actually I'm living on my own but can't see anyone at any time. I was so used to going out, seeing my family. My mum lives down the road. I was so close to her, seeing her every day, most evenings after work, and I just couldn't do that anymore. Being a key worker, I still had to go to work, so it's almost that guilt that I could spend time with my colleagues but not my own family. And things like queuing up to get food just seemed absolutely crazy. And at work I was given a letter to say I'm out and about walking because I'm on my way to work, on my way back from work. So my manager produced a letter for us to show if we do get stopped and asked why we're out and about. So I think going out for walks and things did help when we were allowed to. And the weather was amazing. I remember that the weather during that time was like a positive that came out of that actually. I was able to go out and enjoy the sunshine. Even indoors I was able to appreciate the sun. Did a few arty things to keep me busy. But yeah, at the back of my mind, I was just wanting to see friends and family. I know something had to be done, but I think it was very short notice to suddenly tell people there's a lockdown and all these new rules suddenly just came in. Although it was building up to it, I think reality kicked in when it actually happened. I think speaking to people, it was just the loneliness of it all that's affected a lot of people, just feeling too isolated, especially those on their own. I was working at a dental practice at the time, so obviously I had to go in. So the systems at work completely changed, which was an absolute challenge for me. Not only having to change the PPE, but changing the systems of how we see patients, how procedures are carried out, the length of time of the cleaning after each patient. It's a complete change at work as well. It was a lot to take in. And even the social aspect at work where all staff would sit together around a table having lunch, which is like the only time in the day the nurses would have a good catch up with each other. We had split lunches, so we were allowed 3 people in that room at a time, like 3 or 4 maximum, I think it was. So even the dynamics at work had changed quite rapidly. We had a lot of nervous patients coming through the door because they were anxious seeing us in our full PPE with the stealth masks on, gowns. So the nervous patients were even more nervous, so we had to keep reassuring them, we're protecting ourselves but also protecting you and everyone else. So we're doing this, it's a positive thing we're doing, we can still see you. It's just giving that reassurance. And obviously I had colleagues who were in the high risk category. So they were obviously nervous working there, and we had to take special measures with them, and patients as well who were in the high risk group were obviously really nervous coming in. So we had to give them extra reassurance and extra time. So there's a lot of changes, and carrying out the COVID questionnaires at the door was something I never thought I'd have to do. Ask people if they've been to China, if they're displaying any symptoms, if they had a high temperature. We were checking temperatures at the door. It's a completely different way of working. Having nursed for 12 years, it was just a complete change to try and adapt to that as well. I think we didn't act as quickly as other countries did, to be honest, and we left it too late, and we were told too late to act, which I think annoyed a lot of people. I mean, other countries are already preparing for lockdown. I think it was just thrown on us at short notice. Although I think the country was anticipating it, I think it could have been dealt with a lot better and addressed to the nation a bit better as well. There was a post on Facebook there was a lady saying how her mother feels a bit lonely if anyone can message her or contact her, because she lives on her own. So I did that for a couple of months. We were messaging back and forth. I spoke to her on the phone as well. So that's something obviously I've not done before, just speaking to a complete stranger I don't know, but knowing I was giving her that reassurance. And we sent very long messages to each other. She was asking her how work was going. She had hospital appointments that had been cancelled so many times, a hip replacement I think she was waiting for. So she had her frustrations on her end. So I think it was nice knowing I could have helped someone, but also quite sad listening to her side of things as well, living on her own as an elderly lady. So to keep myself occupied outside of work, I was going for walks, which really helped. And whilst walking, I kept coming across pine cones. I've always quite liked pine cones, so I just kept picking them up and collecting them. And then I suddenly thought I could maybe decorate these, do something with these to pass my time. I think on eBay I just bought loads of different colour pom-poms, glitter glue, paint, and I just sat and decorated loads, and I thought I'd attach string to them and thought these would be quite nice on the Christmas tree. So I handed them out to family as well, just before Christmas. So that's, I kept busy, lots of arts and crafts basically, and a little bit of DIY, not a huge amount. Comparing now to back then, I'm a lot more aware of things, and I have a current job in infection control. So I'm constantly looking out for things and ensuring staff are following correct guidelines and protecting themselves as well as others. It's made me a lot more aware. Although my job at the time obviously did involve infection control as well, it's made me more conscious and more aware of things. I've learned to appreciate people a lot more because there's people I couldn't see during lockdown. It's just spending time with people, friends and family, and making most, because I remember having discussions with friends about, do you think we'll ever be able to socialise and go out to pubs and clubs ever again? Like, do you think you ever will, or will you be too scared? And I remember thinking, I've never had this conversation. I never thought I would have this conversation about going out and being worried. But yeah, I have gone out. I'm obviously still conscious about things, but it's nice that things did eventually it's not 100% back to normal, but things have gone back to almost how they were. So